So this was our first proof of concept here. Believe it or not, this truck used to be a Merritt truck. Back in 1962, Johnny Joe, out, you know, like you drive out towards Spence's Bridge, you see Chief Anthony Joe Bridge. This was bought by a First Nations feller back in 1962 from Merritt. Basically, we acquired it and we turned this truck into an electric. So under the hood is a diesel generator. In here is the very crude battery pack. These are the lithium-ion batteries. So these are actually out of a Tesla. It's a very rudimentary proof of concept. It's a hybrid, so it really doesn't need as many battery packs. This thing actually lost weight, believe it or not. From what it weighed before to what it weighed after we were done, this thing lost about 500 pounds. It's got a smaller engine. Instead of the really big engine, it's now just got a tiny generator. Then we put an electric motor in the front, and we ran her to the back end. So what you see right here, this is our pickup version. So we got a 1945 International from World War II. This truck was actually manufactured during World War II. And we ripped the original motor out. This is a new, brand new crate motor. It's going to get the generator on there, and this is basically the range extender for the electric part of the vehicle. So we're just dropping that in there. We'll be getting the generator on it. We'll be putting electric axles on it. And essentially it's a brand new electric vehicle with a 1940s cab, which I think is pretty cool. Here's an example of our electric motor here. So this is what I mean when I say electric axle. It's got an electric motor up front, powers into the differential, standard ring and pinion. This axle right here, it's about 350 horsepower per axle. So in a tandem drive truck, you're pushing out about 700 horsepower. It's these things are monsters. Like the torque and the power is insane, which is kind of the whole benefit. Instead of running a 15-liter engine, you're now running a 9-liter engine that's way smaller, which means that it's running at 1 RPM as a generator. You're not lugging it down, shifting gears, throttling up. You have direct torque, smooth torque, even power applied to the ground while running a much smaller engine, which means that for heavy vocational work like a logging truck, it's fantastic. You no gears to shift, insane torque when you want it, and a smaller engine. Plus logging, it actually has regenerative braking. So these axles will slow themselves down and rebuild your battery like a Tesla does. But on a logging truck around here, that makes a big difference because you're going up the hill empty, you're coming downhill loaded, and you're recharging your batteries as you're coming down the hill. You're using the stored potential energy of the logs at the top of the mountain to rebuild your battery while you're on your way to the mill. Then go back up empty and fire the generator up when you got to recharge your batteries. This one is our current work in progress. So we're just in the middle of just fabbing this guy up. Wanted to stick that axle under there, but if we're moving up to Terrace in a few months, it may just stay like this and then get swapped out up there. We're kind of halfway through the build. You can see why we need a shop.
Yeah.
We're a little busy. Two projects and we're already done. We're supposed to build 8.
I mean, just having this, I saw your interview. This is just your mom's property, right?
Yeah.
And you guys built a whole truck from the ground up. That's pretty damn impressive.
Right in my mom's backyard, and it really sucks. I grew up in Merritt. I hauled logs in Merritt for most of my life. Went to school here. All our employees work in Merritt. They're from Merritt. It sucks having to move. I'll be honest. Like, we tried as hard as we could to stay in town. It was virtually impossible though. All the industrial land, like the Tolkle mill closed down 15 years ago and they won't sell the industrial land. It's been sitting there vacant for 10, 15 years. Can't buy it. All the industrial land that you see on the other side of Tolkle, where the flats used to be for dirt biking, they sold it all. The city put it up for sale as an industrial park, and it's sat unused for the last 10 years because a development company bought it all. Like just not even a development company, a real estate investment firm bought up the land. They're holding the land. They won't sell it. That land that's up by the airport that was going to be that marijuana grow up, that won't be sold. We talked to the owners there, and they're like, well, maybe we could give you like 3 acres. Like we're on 3 acres, and it's already crowded. So talked to the city, and they said, well, hey, all the industrial land, nobody's willing to sell it. They all want to hold on to it with the expectation that it's going to go up in value. They said, well, would you be interested in selling new land? And the city said, no, we really can't sell or lease any new land until the existing land is done. But the existing land is just sitting barren. Like, it doesn't do Merritt any good to have all that industrial land owned by a foreign investment company, because some of these companies that own most of the land are foreign. Other ones like Tokel are more local. But what good does that do the city? You can't build factories because developers just want to hold it as a real estate money. Well, I'm sorry, but the land in Merritt shouldn't be a way for Chinese companies to just park their money to hide it from the Chinese government. Well, we can't build anything on the industrial land. That industrial land should be used to create jobs. Like, we had a chance with Merritt to hire 40, 50 people in town to actually start building a shop, but I can't because it's all owned by some rich billion-dollar investment firm that's just holding it. Like, the amount of guys that I know, you talk to mechanic shops, they can't grow their shop, they can't expand their shops. Other people that want to start business or machine shops, I know guys that are welders out in Lower Nick, and they would love to be able to build a big shop and grow their welding business, but they can't because there's no land. It's not just Edison. Nobody can do anything anymore. And I talked to the TNRD, and they said it's 2 to 3 years to approve a zoning change in the regional district. So if you can't get the city, you can't get it. And we got reached out because of the clean technology we do. We were reached out to by Nevada, and they had land that they were willing to offer us outside of Elko for free. 60 acres of land for free. If you're willing to relocate your business down to this state, they said the jobs are there. They're willing to give us free land that's held onto by the state if we're just willing to bring the jobs there. And I said, what about the zoning? They're like, don't worry, it'll take about 1 to 2 weeks to do the zoning change. Talked to TNRD, they said 2 to 3 years if it gets done, with 3-4 town meetings. And I said, how come it's so easy in the States? I'm like, how come the States wants our jobs? They're willing to give us free land and change the zoning in a week. But I grew up here, spent my entire life here, my family's from here, all our employees are from here, and our own regional district won't approve our zoning changes for 3 to 4 years. I can't wait 3 to 4 years on our technology and park it. Like, why? Why are we at our own disadvantage in our own place? And I asked that lady that works at the TNRD that. I said, how come the States is so friendly and yet so hard here? And all that we were told by the regional district was, well, just move to the States then. And she hung up the phone on me. She's like, if that's the way it is, I suggest you move to the States. And she hung up the phone. That was it. That's the only regional thing. They'll work like crazy to try and keep the jobs, but they won't attract new jobs. And they're like, well, what if we change the zoning and somebody was bothered by the industrial shop and they thought it was going to be rural and they built a house there and now they don't want an industrial shop down the street? Well, so we just want to send all the jobs in Canada down to the States, tell everybody to move down to the States so that we can have just a bunch of retirees living up here as we choke our economy. People can't afford a house. There's no land. The jobs are going down and down. Like Aspen Planers has been shut down for a while. Like they start back up and they shut down, and like the logging industry is taking a hit, and we had a cool chance to start a manufacturing company and we can't. And it's just, it sucks.
This is alleged from Chace Barber's. The phone operator allegedly said, well, if that's how it is, then you should move to the States. We were just wondering if you have any comments on that or whatnot.
Sure, yeah, no, that absolutely did not happen. So we had an inquiry in about January, and don't forget we had hundreds of inquiries of different nature related to planning and land use. And it's one that we typically get, so they didn't provide a specific address, but they were looking at doing industrial uses in the rural area. And so we just explained that we follow both our zoning bylaw and official community plans, so policies that exist in the region. We asked for specific property. They didn't have one. They asked how long it would take. So then we explained that industrial uses, for example, often conflict with residential areas. So it's not as simple as just finding rural land. It would need to be one that's appropriate for industrial land use. And that the process to rezone takes about 3 to 6 months. And then from the notes, what happened is the gentleman then said that it's much faster in the state of Nevada, and that the state of Nevada would welcome his economic opportunity. And so we did not tell him to go move somewhere else. That's simply not true.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time. Yeah. You know where to reach us, Merritt Herald, or you have my personal number as well. But
Sure.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Yeah, I think maybe the only thing I'll just add is you have to understand we receive hundreds of calls from residents and potential developers, and we're happy to talk to them, and we take our time to explain land use and zoning to them. But we do have to follow the bylaws that we have, and so that's the information we provide, and we certainly don't hang up to people. We're happy to talk to people here.
All right. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.
Yeah, have a great one. Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.